posted a comment the other day on the morality of our leaders in the world at this time, reflecting on how inverted our world seems and how morality doesn't really seem effective or to be guiding most of our decisions. Um, I don't know, maybe it did at one point, but certainly not now. And someone, I forget who commented on my post when I said that, like, the people who are operating our world right now are basically operating below or at the level of a 5-year-old's morality based on Kohlberg's theory, which is to avoid punishment or seek reward, right? That's the base level of moral development according to this theory. But someone commented that sounds more like the 5-year-old's parents, and that was a very insightful comment because I can relate to that for sure. When I was younger, and even now, like so much of society, especially with gatekeeping and stuff, is because we said so, or because that's the way it is, or because of this. Like, there's rarely uh there's a lot of things, human systems we've invented that just don't intuitively make sense. And I think a lot of that is intentional because it allows for control. It disconnects us from our innate knowing. It makes us have to function in an artificial system and learn a whole non intuitive way of relating and being, which makes us further disconnected from ourselves and each other. So, I just want to take a look at Kohlberg's theory of moral development. I'm going to be referencing my notes so I know what I'm saying, but because I want to challenge it. Um, I think because at this point, that's the most influential theory on children's development and the development of morality. But I think we've actually been looking more at moral damage and eventual moral recovery over lifetime. Um, so, in the stages of moral development, there's 6 stages that children go through. Typically, there's 1 through 2, which is pre-conventional, and kids only avoid wrongdoing to escape punishment or gain rewards, pure self-interest, right? Stage 3 to 4, conventional, children follow rules to please others or maintain social order. Follow, the cultural mandates, dictates, whatever. And stage 5 through 6 is the post-conventional stage. Adults develop abstract principles like justice and universal ethics. So the theory suggests babies and toddlers are essentially amoral, driven only by fear of punishment. And this framework has shaped how we parent, teach, and design social systems, even up till today. But when you do a deep dive and run the acid test on it or put it to, you know, see what actually happens in reality, the research really contradicts this. There's research showing 15-month-old babies naturally share their preferred toys and expect fair distribution of resources, and they're surprised when others act unfairly. Um, 19-month-old toddlers, they have sophisticated expectations about who deserves rewards based on effort and work. And 2-year-olds, they spontaneously help others, show empathy when someone is hurt, and cooperate without being taught. 3-year-olds can distinguish between arbitrary social rules and genuine moral issues like harm. So, this is what children do naturally before we educate them with our rule system and say, because that's the way it is, or because we told you so. So, this suggests to me that we are naturally pro social, which makes a lot of sense based on our history, and the majority of our history uh, we've been so successful as a species because we are a social species. Um, it's not normal for us to be in this very antisocial world. And I mean that in sociopathic sense, not like you don't like to go out or you prefer alone time. That's that's not the same thing. So um basically I'm saying Kohlberg got the sequence backwards. Children don't start selfish and become moral. They start pro-social, morally aware, and the system dismantles it right away because children have natural morality. They cooperate, share, expect fairness, and then we get hit with the rule-based conditioning. Don't hit because I said so. Share because you'll be punished. And then that leads to rebellion against arbitrary rules. Adults reject childhood morality is naive, and then we're right into our exploitation mindset. Rules are just social control, so I can ignore them. So I think this theory better describes, like I said, moral damage, not moral development. But what really matters is the implications of this, because this explains why learning from sociopaths is what I call it content thrives. And these are the things that, like, oh, this is how the billionaire did it, or this is how they turned this idea into a multi-billion-dollar solution, or here's how you can, play the stock market, or here's like literally, if you translate that, everything is here's how you can extract the most value by doing the least effort. Here's how you can trick people into paying you. Here's how you can exploit wages, exploit policies. Here's how you can take far more than your share of the pie and do far less work because, you know, it's just arbitrary rules everyone else is following. There's no reason for them. So why not, right? But that misses the entire point. Like, we developed a sense of empathy, morality, pro social behavior because it's evolutionarily advantageous. Like, over a long period of time, we developed that because it works, because it matters, because despite what people sometimes believe and sometimes are born believing, because there are differences in brain structure that can occur naturally that will make people feel like completely isolated and unable to bond or connect. We usually call them psychopaths. And but that's generally like less than 1% of the population. And even that has connections to like, significant trauma in the mother during pregnancy or other situations like poisoning and stuff. Like, it's generally associated with actual brain damage. Um, but the problem is these individuals have been the ones to rise to power, in my opinion, because our system rewards it. We reward like a lack of empathy, callousness. We think it's equivalent to being confident or efficient, but really what it is it's blindness. Like, it's just having no ability to see the impact of your actions on others and having no ability to see the long-term consequences because we're experiencing them now. Like, we've inherited previous generations bill basically, you know. They used all the fossil fuels, all that stuff, and now we're the ones paying for it. So they made a killing off like doing that. They've done it again and again, especially the oil industry. They did it with lead, which the damage from that is unbelievable, the astronomical, but the same corporations are still operating in the same firms, everything. They're using the same tactics. Now they're responsible for the microplastics that we're dealing with, that they've known all these things were harmful, and they just kept doing it till they got caught. And by that time, they've already made their fortunes and they just keep going. Like, so the point being, like, we see this. But one of the most harmful things they may have done is to convince us that we humans are naturally violent or antisocial when everything, the research, our history suggests the complete opposite. That we do best when we work together, when we're pro social, and that we're naturally, instinctually driven to be that way. So they've literally had to train us and force us to step out of our nature. And here's where I think the evidence it just becomes self-evident. Like, truth doesn't take significant amounts of energy to display, to align with. It just is. It's just there, right? Like, if it's true, it's true. And, think of it like gravity. Like, if gravity exists and it's there, no matter what we say, like, it's gonna be there. So if we want to try and convince somebody or create the experience of there not being gravity, we have to use significant centripetal force, or we have to, exit the gravitational field of the planet. Like, it takes a lot of energy to sustain an illusion or lie. And that's what's happening. Like, if you think about it, like, they are trying to install, surveillance, like, on everyone. like full AI surveillance on populations. Why? Like, why? Who needs that? Like, unless someone is trying to control everything and everyone. Um, because I mean, the idea that they're using it to protect us, like, I think we're all over that lie. They've used that one plenty of times. But the point being, like, they have invested so much money in lobbying, in um, taking over the system and like running programs on us through television, through media, through all of it, like to make us think completely against our instincts and our will, because they've basically overlaid an artificial reality, an artificial construct over the natural world. And most of us are born into this and indoctrinated with it long before we even develop a capacity to think for ourselves. So, a lot of times we just go on living like this is what it is. This is what my worldview is built on. But I think you'll find the more you look that that's not the case. But we have to be willing to actually ask the questions and dig. And this is a good place to start because if we don't believe that humans are naturally good or social or able to get along, then the world that we're living in today makes a whole lot of sense. It seems like that's the inevitable result of the species, right? That's of course that's what we lead to, this world. But that's not true. This has been artificially forced on us through artificial scarcity and programming. So rule and the statistics show this. I mean, rules and increased surveillance increase antisocial behavior. They override natural pro-social instincts. They create paranoia, and they come from large organizations that have demonstrated zero interest in our well-being. So, in my opinion, we should be protecting and nurturing children's innate understanding that harming others damages the cooperation we all depend on. So, our 4-year-old sense of fairness isn't selfish. It's very sophisticated evolution reflecting the most successful strategy of our species, social collaboration. This is moral reasoning we should respect and not replace with because I said so. So maybe it's time that we actually do learn from children instead of assuming we need to fix them. But what that means is we also have to be willing to look at ourselves because many of us have accepted this false paradigm, this false reality. And so to me, when people talk about the Matrix, it's a good concept and but it's not about like we're not like a brain in a vat somewhere, experiencing and sure, this reality may be a hologram at the end of the day, right? But like either way, we're in it. Like we're in it right now. So we still got to treat it like we're in it. I don't think we would choose to become embodied beings just to try to constantly escape the experience of being embodied. Um, so I'm pretty sure that we came here to understand what it felt like to be embodied and how to integrate uh, non-material consciousness reality into a material experience. And I think the more embodied we get, that's the direction to head. And but this is where it starts. We start the programming young, and if we continue to accept theories like this that basically lay out a very inverted formula for how we develop morality and how we view humans, then we're not gonna know where things are going wrong, or we're not gonna expect anything different. So, I hope that makes sense. I just think we do need to start focusing on nurturing natural cooperation. I think it's proved successful historically. I think most of us naturally feel better when we collaborate and when we're supportive of each other. I know I was raised with the lie that competition is required for humans to not be lazy or for them to advance or all that. But that's another one that, like, if you look at the actual science, that's false. It's not only false from a clinical perspective, but it's false from a historical perspective. Almost every single major breakthrough we have had has only been a result of collaboration. It may have happened during times where there was competition in the world, but it's almost always happened from a collaborative effort, from the discovery of DNA structure to Einstein's theory. Like these aren't things that were happened upon because of competition. These were things that were discovered because people were in a safe, creative, explorative space. Um, and so I think we really need to look at the things we've accepted and the things we're told because most of them don't hold up under scrutiny. And this is a big one because that was one that I had, just accepted that this was the theory of moral development. That's what it is. And so when that person left that comment, I was, it was really eye opening to realize, wow, that's another one that I just accepted. And I have no problem updating my model because I don't really need to know everything. I don't think anyone can or needs to. Like, why? Then it would be boring if you think about it. If we knew absolutely everything, why be here? If we already knew everything. Um, but anyways, thanks for joining me today, and I hope you guys enjoyed. All right, have a good one.